Boom. Okay. I hope I'm actually, like, functional now. You might be the only person here, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with a small stream. Because I didn't share it on the Discord this time, because it's only art-based and not summer camp-based, like the first one was. But that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, I need to close that now. Ah, my eyes. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll definitely do that for the, like, summer camp prep ones, which is going to be the Monday streams, which is the day after the, like, announcement streams. But the Thursday ones are just art, even though it is going to be world building based. loosely world building. It's related to the world, but it's not the world. Okay, I'm glad the sound's working. I hope the music's not too loud, because my headphones suck, and the volume's whack, so I can never tell if the music's actually loud. Like, I'm on like 2 volume, like 2 out of 100 for volume, and it's still like decently loud. So that's gonna be fun. It shouldn't be too loud on the stream though, because I specifically made it lower. Just a nice chill in the background, unobtrusive, obstructive, something. A word that exists and means something. Oh gosh. Okay, so well, I can turn it up a little bit, because I can't actually hear it through Streamlabs. I put it down fairly low. That's like almost doubled it. That's a little bit louder, because I can't hear the volumes myself, so whoops. It should be a little bit louder, because in order for them to be here for the art, I need to actually draw the art first, and that's the effort part that's required. So my plan for today's stream, oh wow, my handwriting sucks, is I'm going to be doing some like clothes design, because I during all the summer camp prep stuff, I sort of wanted to kind of pin down what parts of history it was based on. You're not distracting me. It's totally fine. Half the point of streaming is being able to interact with people. It's not distracting at all. But yeah, so I was, because of the summer camp prep, it sort of helped me pin down that I want to focus on, it's not historical, it is fantasy, but taking influence aesthetically from certain periods in history. And the one that I ended up exactly. That is exactly it. Edwardian fashion is completely my shit. I love Edwardian clothes. That stuff rules. I did set up like a brief Pinterest board where I was like, I wonder sort of what the vibe is, because I was trying to aim somewhere between the first and second industrial revolution, so I guess like sort of early Victorian and Regency period, which is well before Edwardian, because that's like 1901 to 1914 or so. But hey, I love Edwardian fashion, so I will absolutely bring it in, because nothing really stopping me from doing that, because I have a lot of different pieces of the world to design. So some can be, you know, a little bit more modern in terms of their influences, and some can be a little bit more like more historical than Edwardian, which is over 100 years old, but that's okay. So there's a YouTuber called, I believe it's Mariah Patty, I'm probably mispronouncing her name, who did a video series about designing the clothes for fantasy culture in her worlds, and she sort of focused on, let me change to a different color so that it actually stands out, on sort of these things here, like on the class distinctions between, you know, the upper class and the lower class will dress differently, gender differences will influence clothes, whether it's for work or sort of high society ballroom functions, whether the elderly and like children dress differently, the influence of traditions. I can't actually remember specifically what word she chose, but I think it's like the historical versus the modern. So like where there would be like that sort of just like, you know, in when the styles sort of change over, you get like the youth are all dressing Edwardian and all the adults are dressing Victorian. You get that nice sort of contrast, or even bigger age distinction with the cultures and stuff. And then also the weather was important for character design, because like warmer, like your summer clothes were different to your winter clothes, and people from a warmer climate will absolutely dress differently to people in a colder climate. And then I also added just two little bits to remind me that they're important, is the materials that the culture has available to it. So like, you know, wool, silks, you know, strings, no leather for belts, that sort of thing. And then also the politics, because the political aspect is going to be a big player in some parts of the world. Like, you know, Australia basically dresses just like the Europeans do, because we were a European colony, or specifically an English-British colony. But so we took a lot of inspiration from the British, as did the Americans. So always the Brits. So it sort of gets filtered through and then mixed with some local styles. Not so much in Australia, but in general, that's kind of part of the whole thing. So my goal, I should have opened a map before I got here. Hold on, let me open a map. I have a map. Oh no. New computer, I don't know where anything is. Pictures. Art. Maps. Political maps. This one. Here we go. This'll do it. Yeah, it's that sort of thing. It's like how do the new generations interact with the older generation's styles, especially as like changing political things, like how do they adapt those older elements to a newer environment context. So that's fun. So I think this is one of the continents in my setting. This is Thrasen. The other continent is Abrivos, and it's kind of its own situation. I don't know what's going on. It's not quite as thought out, because that was where the setting started, and this is where the setting has evolved to a new area. But it has, I would say, let's get a different color and a bigger pen. A couple of distinct sort of areas where like clothes would be different. So they'll be like here, well, I guess here as well. Like so in there, there'll be sort of different stuffs in here, different stuff in here. And then these people, that's something else. They're doing their own thing. Because they're a bit separate. So they've got isolated. So there's sort of at least 3 sort of core regions of, I guess, cultural fashion. It's obviously more nuanced than that because there's at least 4 different like language groups on this continent, plus the elves, which is like 6. There's like 6 different languages on this continent alone. And so that would have an influence on culture. But this is the broad strokes. And like obviously, like even in this one here on the right, this is the East Coast, it would sort of start to split about here-ish, because this part's much colder than down here, and this specific area has a lot of history involved in why it looks like that. So they would have a distinct style to an extent. It all sort of bleeds. Like, you know, the people over here, let's get a different color again. That's not gonna help. That's people over here will look completely different to the people up here. Just because the distance, the climate, the historical context of the peoples. So, you know, there's a lot of bits. I'm not going to end up designing for all of them. I'm not actually a fashion designer. I just think clothes look pretty. So we're gonna basically just work with what we have. I'm gonna use this canvas to actually draw in. I think that'll make my life just a little bit easier. Okay, so one of the things that's kind of important about my setting is that the gender distinction in specific isn't super important, because I'm just like, I don't want to have to deal with that, to be honest. It's just not really my thing. I was like, everyone's basically equal. Don't worry about it. Everyone's fine. We're all just doing what we can. And, you know, you've got like, there's also like non-binary people and trans people just living their lives, and I'm like, sweet, excellent. So the gender distinction isn't as important, though. If I do like things, I might try and do like a stereotypical, like I might do like a dress and then like a trouser look, like suit and ties and stuff, just to have that sort of silhouette distinction, if nothing else. If nothing else, I think that'd be a good, if I'm going to design for a culture, I'd want to have at least those 2 types of clothes, even if they're not strictly on gender lines. Let's just get some squares in here. Oh god. Oh god. Oof. Clothing. People are hard to draw. Oh god, I'm not good at drawing people. We'll get just like one arm out. It's usually how they do it. Like one arm. And then, you know, just like the one arm down. And then I need to fix these legs. These are bad legs. Oh no. Now everyone knows that I can't draw legs. Everyone that's there, anyway. Oh, that reminds me, I didn't set up my proper setup that I usually do. One moment. I usually do a setup. Or I like to have multiple things, which can show me that this looks even worse when you flip it. Oh no. Then I might take this one. And luckily I can read my own handwriting, most of the time. Most of the time I'm capable of reading. Oh, I need to make that smaller. Try and pop that. Damn it. You meanie poophead. Oh, that's gonna be a fun read. People coming in seeing my like, you know, 480, like 540p stream going, what does that say? It's like, I don't know either. I cannot help you. Yeah, I mean, we're not professionals here. We're messing around. So, I guess you would probably actually duplicate that. So we can try and have, oh no. Ugh. Fit on the screen. Fit on the screen. There we go. Okay. You now have Two very poorly drawn bodies that we can use to draw on. Yay! I'm gonna pull up my Pinterest again. Oop. Alright. Going through all the going through every single one of my windows to get back to the one I actually want. Oops. Okay. So I think we'll definitely start with sort of the upper class because there's a lot of I just like pretty dresses. And you get the prettiest dresses in the upper class because they have the money to spend on making their dresses incredibly pretty instead of just merely practical. So it's like, hey, excellent. We've got all the fluff, all the bustle, all the crinolines and crinolettes. It's excellent. And obviously, sort of as an extension of that, the purpose is going to be mostly aesthetic, mostly like, high society, making an impression. Because like even in that situation, you can usually sort of downgrade into the more practical wear. Like your day wear is going to be, well, your day wear and your night wear are going to be fairly similar. They're going to definitely, like, you'll be able to tell that they're from the same sort of culture and same ideas of what they think is important for those functions, especially in the high society where fashion's the name of the game. And then, I don't know, age is a different situation entirely. That's going to be a later thing, I think. Oh gosh. And then, we have to pick an actual group that we're going to be focusing on. Oop. Oh no, I need this one. So I guess just a matter of picking one of these. Oh god, there's so many lines on here. Okay, there we go. Less lines. So I think I was mostly going to end up focusing on this one down here, just because I've put, like, they're the region that I've actually written about the most, because I've written about, I've written this country was the first country in this, well, like the second, maybe, country in the setting that I actually wrote about. The first one was some shenanigan over here. And then I wrote about these two here as well, because they're a fun duo of a lot's happening in there. So I'm probably going to start focusing with this group. And so one of the important things about this particular region is that this there and sort of this here, that's mountain. They're sort of in a mountain valley that does like a U here. And then there's this huge, big old lake that brings them all the way down to the ocean. And so there's that. So it's a fairly valley sort of area. A lot of hills, a lot of mountains. They focus on the river. The river is the most important part of the region, the river and the lake. Obviously. If the river and the lake aren't important, what are you doing? So if it's big enough to show up on the map, it's important. Most of the time. That. So I guess for weather purposes, it's fairly, I guess, sort of, I'm not sure exactly what the equivalent would be because I haven't been to enough places around the world, and I live in Australia, which is a warm country most of the time. But I, like, he's like, oh, hey, Delian! Hello! Yeah, a map. I'm using the map to tell me what culture I should draw. I'm like, hey, maps, this will explain my point. When I talk about them being in a coldish place, big snowy mountains and everything. Oh god, my phone sucks. Well, thank you for the follow as well. I already thanked Secondhand for the follow earlier, but thank you, Delian, for following. So, I'm going to focus on drawing designs sort of from this region. It's decently cold. I think the best equivalent that I have is sort of like springtime in New Zealand, except then also way colder, because I was in the North Island, which is the warmer island at that particular moment. It was definitely colder than in Australia, but that doesn't say a whole lot. It's Australia we're talking about. So, pretty much everything's colder than Australia except for the equator. So, oops, wrong one. There we go. Here now. Excellent. Now we can start drawing things. Oh, nice. Yeah. I'm not doing map making today, and I'm probably not gonna, I don't have a lot of maps I need to do. So I'm probably not going to end up getting chances to do map making, but I might at some stage. It's closed drawing time, apparently. I've decided it's closed drawing time. Okay, so... Oof. It's always hard to start, is the bit. Starting is hard. I think one of the important sort of design bits that I picked out from my huge Pinterest board that I made up like last night or something was that it basically, oh god, every window. You know, it's sort of the waist, like, band bit. You get like the bodice up here, and then it usually flares out in some capacity, sort of around there. Oh god. And then usually it's got sleeves. There's nothing wrong with specializing in something. Because like if I had half of the map making skill that you had, I'd be pretty chuffed about that. And then instead I've just spent most of my time drawing people. So I was like, what is a mountain? So most of my maps are fairly Wikipedia-esque. They don't really do geographic detail as much. Yeah, so something sort of similar to this sort of silhouette, I guess. This is incredibly rough. That's the sort of silhouette that tends to show up in the Pinterest, which is based mostly on like various 1800s, more sort of later than in the evening. Or evening? Sorry. That's sort of like more like later 1800s than in like the Regency period, where they were basically sort of very high-waisted in the dresses. Like the waist would basically be like directly here, and then it just goes down. And it's like, what's happening? Why does it look like that? George, what have you done, George? George made weird decisions. He didn't make them, but weird decisions were made during his time in the Regency of the United Kingdom, as it were. So I think that's a sort of vague silhouette. This one, not so much this one, though. This one could sort of come up in other ones. This would come up in like other parts of the country, perhaps in the warmer areas, because I don't know, like this, I sort of associate the Regency style with like summertime for some reason. It feels like a very summery outfit, so this could be good for summer and coastal as such, which is nice because I haven't really distinguished the mountains from the coast, even though there would be huge distinctions culturally in some cases. Whereas this one's a bit more of the well upriver, high society, mountain areas. You know, got big thick big thick skirts, lots of layers. You know. You got like, it goes most of the way up. I think it's fairly high necked as well. Oh, that's good. Yeah. You make maps, you dig holes, dwarf fortress. Done. That's it. That's all you've got. Yeah, and I think long sleeves. They can be very long, but I don't know how like bell sleeves are cute, but like I don't know. I'd have to try out more of them. Oh, I know. Multiple layers, oh no. The upper layer probably would not look like that, obviously. This is not exactly the refined sketch of a professional artist. I'm just playing around, but yeah. That sort of idea of it. Let's chuck all the... Oh god. I can't spell. Doesn't matter. I know it's the sketch layer, and that's what's important. They're all named, but only I can read them. It doesn't help that the base I'm working from isn't exactly excellent. You know, you can get sort of like that high, like buttoned front, and so that would come as a shirt, I think. Would be you'd actually have a shirt that sort of buttoned up the whole way, sort of made it all the way down here. Sort of very nice, sort of delicate, like crisp white, which I guess would be probably linen. And I feel like they would have access to linen. Admittedly, I don't know what environments linen is most commonly found in. This is something I probably should have researched before I started the stream. It's comfortable in hot weather and it wrinkles a lot. Well, It's fine. We're the upper classes, we can iron our own clothes. We've got magic, you can crisp it out very easily. It is very efficient when you can cast fireball and also water. You can basically wash your clothes on the spot. It's incredible stuff. So you basically end up with like a shirt, and then you can basically put stuff over the top of it. It should probably still be in the sketch layers. I'm gonna keep putting stuff in the sketch folder. You basically stuff over the top of it, and then stuff happens. And I feel like that sort of look, I kind of like the layers part of looks. They look interesting when they get layered. And I like I don't like wearing high-collared stuff, but I think they look cool. So I draw a lot of characters in high-collared stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna live out the fantasy through you, because I don't own high-collar stuff at all. Like, this is basically as tight as it goes, and this is already a little high. Sort of that sort of look, which is very indistinct on this. Get rid of it. You get rid of that, it makes a little bit more sense. A little bit. A little. Not a lot. I'm not a fashion designer. We make do with what we have. With what skills are given to us, we do what we can. Yeah, you basically end up with like a nice, decent, like, I guess it's just an A-line skirt at that point. And it's like, yeah, neat. And that would like be corseted or something, I don't know. I don't know about the sleeves. Maybe the sleeves shouldn't be like that. You could just not have any sleeves. You could just have no sleeves at all, and then basically it stops there. And at that point, this sort of ends up becoming sheer, is how that almost looks to me. And that's a different kind of look, because then I feel like that wouldn't have a... Oh, that's the wrong marker. A different kind of bit. And I'm not sure, I think that looks a little bit too modern. And it doesn't super fit with like a mountain sort of area, even though like the most of the royalty are basically like on the riverside or on the lakeside, not really in the high peaks as such. So they're not as encumbered by that aspect, but I don't think that sort of works for that. But you know, never delete a sketch. Delete parts of it, but don't delete it. You just leave it where it is. Other color. Oh, that's a cute color. I love pink. Pink's good. I guess then, focus is on the waist area. You basically end up sort of like that. Let's pull up pictures again. Pinterest, tell me your secrets. It's mostly that it sort of... You can do shirt and then skirt, which is a different kind of thing. I think that was sort of what I think I was trying to go for and then did not do particularly well because I drew the whole dress over it. You know, basically just do like skirt, well, it's a shirt, sorry, a shirt that tucks in and then a long dress. And I feel like that's a fairly simple sort of style. That's, you know, and you can very, very easily embellish this with, like, you know, you can also get like a jacket on top of it. You can put a bunch of designs along like the bottom, like the hem of the skirt to add some pizzazz, put brooches, do up your hair all fancy. That's kind of cute. No, and then like, you know, for jackets, make it smaller again. Ooh, jackets are hard. I'm bad at drawing colors, so drawing jackets is always a nightmare. It's more of a shawl at that point. That looks like a shawl. Which isn't a bad idea. A shawl is not a bad look for that. There's nothing wrong with a shawl. And it still sort of keeps like the whole bit. It probably should go further down on the general. I don't know. I'm talking entirely out of my ass at this point. You watch enough videos about fashion, you just assume you know what you're talking about. It's like, okay, now that this... It's fine. It's totally fine. I have no idea what I'm doing at any given moment. It's a mystery to me. So, I feel like that sort of, this sort of, I don't know, I probably shouldn't have merged that on, because I feel like it looks better without it. It's a very simple look, the one on the right, but I feel like this kind of works. It's just like this might be sort of like a more day wear kind of thing, sort of similar to an like a Edwardian walking skirt sort of thing, which I'm into. So I can basically accept that. So I'm gonna put a little, yay! I'm gonna make that green so it actually stands out. So at least I can see it on the side over there. No one else can because the program's blurry because why did I decide that my primary artistic program would be one not designed for Windows 10? I don't know. I made a mistake or two or three or many many choices were made at some point. Oh, hey. I didn't realize that my tablet bar could scroll like that. I don't use the quick keys, so that's news to me. I feel like that sort of works as a fairly simple going out outfit. Fairly simple, easy to embellish. I guess maybe a nighttime one would be fun. Most of this is just gonna end up me drawing dresses poorly and hoping for the best. Because that's usually sort of the way of it. Because at nighttime you end up being a bit more fancy. I have a, hold on, let me flip it over. Rotate it. Hopefully that's actually showing on stream. I can't actually see my webcam. There we go. I have an Interos 4, which is from like 2014 or something. I've had it for a while, but I never use the quick keys because of the way my normal desk is set up. It just makes it difficult to use because I don't want to have to I don't want to break the cord because I don't have any spares of this particular tablet cord. So I keep setting it up in a way that the cord has to do the least amount of twisting and turning to get to my computer. So the express keys on the side end up being on the wrong side of the table for me to actually use. They're all the way over here, which is where my mouse is in Whoop Whoop land. Thank you. Okay. Now it's like nighttime, fancy high society is where the next look is at, I think. And then I'll probably, I think at the bare minimum, I'd like to have at least the upper class sort of day-night wear for both the dress look and the suit tuxedo pant look. And then I think I might try and do an actual art drawing that means I have something to show for myself at the end of all this, because a bunch of quick sketches aren't exactly the the high quality art that gets clicks or anything. Not that that's an issue, but it's yeah, sometimes you just want to have a little bit more something to show for it, really. Something a little bit fancier. So, comes the question of, so the thing, I think one of the important things is that I know from the setting that silk, I'm sure that the people of Thrasen do have silk. They almost certainly have silk, but they don't have the best possible silk because this sort of section here that I'm circling is the sort of core part of Thrasen. And then because of how the setting works, there's these bits that weren't there originally and then through magic deific shenanigans appeared. And the people over here have incredible silk. They just have real good silk. And so I guess part of it is that some of that probably has made its way over and into the central region through just long trade. Ooh. Ooh, a card cut out in candle lit projections aesthetic. Holy shit. I had not thought of that. My CSS is serviceable. I've done it twice now. This is the second CSS on my world at the moment. You have just given me an idea, and I feel like at some point, next week's Thursday stream might end up being, it's time to do CSS because I hate my CSS and I want to make it look pretty. And a card cutout and candlelit projections aesthetic sounds just extremely cool. I feel like I need to do that now. I need to write that down. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna write that down and remember it. But as for the jewelry part, we can definitely get into some jewelry, especially like, because that's going to be a fun aspect as well. Because I'm not super thinking of the geography aspects. Like, the geography isn't meant to be like tectonically consistent or anything. It's magic based. It's fantasy fun times. But there would definitely be like some elements of certain regions would have certain gemstones. And then there's the fact that there's the whole river aspect with all the how that works with the trade. So like for this country in particular, this big one here, they would have a lot of access to foreign goods, more so than up in here, which despite how it might look, the travel to the coast is not right. It's not a great way to get to the coast. You have to basically go up here, or like I think it's like down. I think here might be the best part of the coast, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. So there'd be a lot of different sort of metals and jewels available to the central area through this specific area here, through the river and through some of the river neighbors. This country's a fun one because it just has this incredibly weird border just going, yeah. Which if I had the geography overlay, you could see is just kind of whack that it looks like that at all. I don't know what's going on with any of the countries in here. They're all just extremely whack. They're a mess. But yeah, so I think jewelry would be a good spot to do for this like evening wear one, when I sort of figure out what the sort of look is for that. So I feel like, you know, you get like the bodice, then you get like the big skirt, and this, it's obviously big skirt, lots of layers for the big skirt. And then there would obviously be the jewels in here. And I have to draw another like bit to get into the jewelry a bit more, just because the canvas size is not super big. So I can't, I can zoom in, but the way that I'm working with it, it's easier if I stay at a distance, just for the sort of rough idea. But I might, after I hit on a sort of basic idea of what a good nighttime gown silhouette is for this kind of culture, then I might sort of go into and do like the earrings and stuff and sort of figure out what will work for them there. So basic bodice, basic long skirt, because everyone loves big skirts, and especially because it's cold in the evening in the sort of central regions, because it's cold up there. You would want to have a lot of layers to sort of help sort of insulate yourself. So while you do have the sort of exposed neck, you could probably, if it's particularly cold, you can probably like sheer lace go up higher if you need to. But the exposed, it's, you know, because then it gives you more, if you expose it, there's more showing for your jewels. And if you're in the high society, it makes sense to accentuate those elements as much as possible, at least in my understanding of how fashion works. Like, I'm dressed in a sweater and a button-up shirt. I'm not exactly high society in here, so like that makes sense to me to keep it fairly low cut to accentuate jewels in the center, even though it's cold. But then to put a lot of layers and fabric into the skirt and a lot of like, no, and then probably you definitely would want to have sleeves, I think, which requires me to think about what kind of sleeves, because sleeves are hard. Sleeves are hard to draw and they're hard to think of good ideas for. Depends on how much poof is desired of the sleeves. So your shirt arrived. Oh, that's excellent. I don't have the money to get a shirt this year, but I do have a Worldbuilding shirt from last year, which is very good. And if it's like a warmish day, not that it's going to be super warm at 10 o'clock at night, I might wear my World Ember shirt at some point. It's because, hey, World Anvil. Maybe that'll be my summer camp stream shirt. When summer camp actually hits, I'll start wearing my World Ember shirt and confuse everybody. It's like, why? I'm confused now. What's happening? Something does not connect. I'm gonna pop in an image just so I have it as an easier reference to see. Oh god, maybe I'll just make it from the clipboard. Yeah, dresses are cool. I spent a lot of time on Pinterest looking at dresses, going, oh hell yeah, dresses are cool. So this is a very sort of that's a bit different, and it's got a lot more volume relative to that waist, because that is a heavily corseted waist in there. Oh man, that is thin as hell. And I mean, they probably do have corsets, but I'm mostly not thinking about that as much as I need to. I'm just assuming they have as much support as they need. Nothing wrong with corsets per se. I'm just like, I don't know enough about corsets to make any educated assumptions. And so that one has a very different sort of, where it's like this huge bit, and then it comes in for the waist, and then it just poof. Big, oh boy, huge poof. Colossal poof. I mean, that is royalty. Well, the waist is more like that, not straight across. So that is that difference. Which is probably, I do like that as a distinction between the nighttime and the daytime, since this is quite high-waisted, isn't it? Not that I'm great at drawing proportions, so that's quite high-waisted, because the waist is probably like here. This probably should have been further down anyway. So I guess sort of there's a nice contrast between the straight across silhouette on that one, and then this sort of pointed down, which could be an interesting sort of aspect to play into in sort of like patterning of like fabrics, and like I don't know, maybe sharp like triangles and like pointed bits, like more associated with the high classes, because it's very easy to just sort of stamp in a square. I don't know. Straight lines are easier, maybe. I don't know how any of that works. I'm not sure. That probably didn't make a whole lot of sense. Just talking out of my ass. But you know, you get sort of like the big bit, bodice is in there, big skirt, and you can always then add a jacket over top if need be. And I guess most of the nighttime engagements are inside. So I guess you don't need that warmth element as much as you do outside. So, you know, you're wearing this outside, and you make sure you've got sleeves, and you'd have a jacket on as well, and you have like full length. It's fairly close, sort of keeps everything from going messy. The wind is high. Hey, Thicket! Hello! You showed up. I'm assuming you saw the Discord status at some point and went, oh hey, the stream is happening. Streams are occurring. I've become a streamer. I'm now the second mod to do that. Soon I will bring you all into the fold. We will all follow Hefe's example, and we will all become streamers. We just have to make sure we're not all streaming at the same time. Yeah, so that... I think maybe it probably should have the same straight across, just because otherwise it feels too distinct. Maybe. I don't know. Oops. There is something on that layer, I forgot. Maybe that... Wait, there's a message that you yelled at? Oh no. Message where? Is that just the... Oh god. Oh god. Oh no. Oh no! Why would you do this? Why did no one tell me this was happening? Just yelling about it in Corchester. It's like, oh no! I'm thoroughly unprepared. Oh god. Oh no. I am absolutely going to save that, the meme picture though. I need that. I'm gonna post that on most of my stream announcements now. I have decided that's happening. I'm downloading it now so I don't forget. Give me the image. Allow me to save the image. Save image. Okay, I'm ready. My future stream announcements are prepared. Hell yeah. Singing stream. We've got it. We've got world building and art. singing, and probably maybe some world building from Ticket as well. And then we have the full sort of breadth of creativity at that point. Then we just have, like, we have Dillian making maps, we have everyone doing everything. We have the whole sort of creative range happening. It's great. This community rules. Anyway, I was going to do so like that. Very basic. Cuts in around the natural waste. I think that's where the waste is supposed to go. And then big poof, big poof, big old poof. So there can be that sort of fun distinction between, like, how poofy is your skirt? That's how practical you're being. If the skirt is not poofy, we are being practical. Nothing wrong with shenanigans. Everyone needs some shenanigans sometimes. That's what 90% of all of our streams, like, we're all supposed to be. We're all supposed to be doing something. It's like, it's shenanigans at the same time. It's the big old poof. It is big old poof. At least it's not bustle, because then if it's bustle, it's huge poof. I don't know about that, Dealian, because the thing is, I'm streaming from Australia, and I don't even have, like, the quote-unquote good Australian internet yet. And apparently my stream is functioning fine. I have been told that it's mostly stable. It's obviously, like, I'm not streaming at, like, 4K or anything, but it's functional. And to an extent, that's all you need. Because the people will come for you. Oh, does it? Well, that helps. If it's in Sydney, it helps. But you still, you know, it's still Aussie internet, which then has to get out to the world. It's like, oh god, the ability is difficult. And I'm positive there would be, like, big Twitch servers in, like, Eastern Europe, in, like, Northeastern Europe. I don't want to name any countries in case I embarrass myself immensely over my lack of geography. Like, I feel like Sweden or something has a server. That makes sense to me. I feel like Sweden has a Twitch server. Trash NBN internet. Slightly less, but somehow more trash. I'm terrified for when NBN arrives here, because I feel like it's going to go out. Like, my internet's not going to happen for a week. Oh, hell yeah. Approaching Nirvana. It's good chill beats. I'm glad they had a chill playlist. I was worried that I'd have the choice of, like, hype music for gamers. And I'm like, I am gamer, but this is not gamer time. This is chill art time. Most of the time it is chill. So I'm just going to be listening to this entire chill playlist every single time I stream from now on. So I feel like I should move this over here. If I move this here... Oh no, the big old poof doesn't fit on the page. God damn it. Canvas size. Why do you do this to me? Let's just big old poof that out. Let's just move that around. I feel like I recognize this song from a Minecraft Let's Build. And I don't know what that says about me. I feel like it says awkward things about me that's where I associate it with. I should pop that around. So I guess that distinction's a bit big between these two. It seems a bit, because this looks more Edwardian and this looks a bit more doodad. Yeah, this is definitely from, like, a Twitch Let's Build from, like, oh god, I can even think of the specific channel that was doing it, who was doing these huge, like, city builds with, like, magic towers and stuff back in, like, 2012, you know, nearly a decade ago. So I'm just like, hell yeah. Let's build some, feeling it. Creative energy. I'm gonna just try and see if I can funk with this a little bit. This is gonna get real weird bit fast. I guess you basically just bring that down. Right down to about there. Isn't that far, but didn't have to move far to be a bit more, the waist sort of fitting a bit better. Because then it's not quite as a huge, like, that was almost, yes! Fire UK! That's exactly the one I was thinking of. Oh my god. I feel like once the stream's over, I'm gonna go watch a bunch of Minecraft Let's Builds now. It's been, oh man. God, it's been years. I need to play Minecraft. I need to do all of these things. I need to draw, I need to write, I need to world build, I need to make languages, and I need to play Minecraft. God. What a time. I feel like this actually might need a little bit more poof. It's possibly not poofy enough. Needs slightly more poof. Because then it feels a little bit more in continuity with it. Too many hobbies to take care of. Black currant starburst chew things. I don't know how to handle that. I don't know how I feel about that. Unless it's like Zappos. If it's Zappos, then I understand how to approach Zappos. Because they're basically just little starburst things, and the black currant ones are actually the better Zappos. The other Zappos aren't as good. They're not actually Zappos, though, are they? I might be being too niche Victorian for that. With the Zappos reference. Not Zappos, okay. Alright, but at least we know what Zappos are, so it's okay, we figured it out. Okay, so I feel like these two kinda work. This possibly needs a shawl. Maybe instead of jackets, they have shawls. Because then that kind of feels like that this naturally evolved from like a big sort of like shawl thing. This looks more like a cape, but like, you know, shawl kind of doodad thing-o-ma-dig situation. Because they sort of come in the front in the same way. The main difference is that this one, the collar doesn't come up, so the collar doesn't really show up as much. So if I just quickly sketch in a shawl, and then you can put a fancy brooch in it. You know, because that makes it fancy. You pin it together with a fancy brooch. This ends up looking a bit more like a cape, but shawls are basically just tiny capes. And I guess most of them tend to go sort of a little bit further along, sort of end up like all the way down. I don't have any scarves on hand. This is devastating. I have like 20 million scarves in this household, and I don't have one in this room. But you end up with just like a nice long shawl, which is probably, I guess because the daytime it's generally warmer, you don't need a full coat. If you were going out in like walking dress during the evening for some reason, like maybe you're walking to dinner but it's low key, then you probably might need a full jacket, especially when you get like, let's bring up the map again so I can explain my thought process. Especially if you live over here, hold on, wait, no. If you live over here in particular, because, you know, the sun's setting in the west, and it's like, oh god, the shadow basically hits, like, this entire area ends up in shadow by, like, I don't know, 4 p.m. or something. Even in like summertime, the shadow just casts across this entire valley very quickly, whereas this sort of area, because of the fact the sun, like, you know, in the east, they have cold mornings but nice warm evenings because they get sunshine for longer, and, you know, the lake plays some kind of role in environment. I didn't do science. I don't know how science works. I don't understand math either. Even though I did math, I don't understand math. So science is a mystery to me. But I feel like that basically makes sense. That, you know, you'd probably wear a shawl in the daytime, and then if you need to go out at night on practical purposes, you would wear a nice big coat of some description. Which would probably end up being, and then I guess, you know, if you're still cold in this and you're outside, then you'd probably just go big old cloak, big cloak. It's a cloak, not a shawl. You're just going full royal shenanigans up in there. Big cloak, big brooch. You're being fancy. This is, you know, the aristocracy, baby. You gotta bling it up. You gotta bling it up in the aristocracy. That is one of the worst drawn cloaks I've ever made. Oh no. But I guess for... I think I know exactly what style of cloak I'm thinking of. And I'm pretty sure it's from a Bernadette Banner video. I need to open things. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? The way that I'm enunciating my words. Because it's not a compliment I've ever had before, so I'm not sure how to handle that. This is the sort of you can't see this, obviously. Gugh. Because it only shows the one thing. Because I'm being sensible. There you go. Good thing. Okay, I'm glad that's a good thing. So I don't know how to handle it. This is the sort of jacket I think I was thinking of, mostly. It's enthusiastic, yes. It's for emphasis. I am putting the emphasis on the correct syllables. Except for that one, obviously. This sort of cloak I was... Coat. Jacket? device clothing. You know, where it's got the big, and it pinches in the waist, and then it comes down nice and big. The skirts aren't quite the same way as that, but I feel like this basically functions. Because this is like, I want to say this kind of like, ooh, I don't know enough about fashion history. It's probably not actually Edwardian, but you know, you got big old bustle on the back, which these don't really have. But, you know, it can come with that sort of, let's just keep that open so I can actually draw it. Oop, wrong layer. Oh no. What is happening? Stop it. I'm remembering how to computer. It's difficult. Computering is hard. You see, you get a nice sort of collar in there, and then it kind of comes in, and it sort of cinches the waist here, so it would affect the way the skirt goes. And then it just nice and sort of flutes out from here, goes out, covers that. You get a nice sort of bit that goes in there and does the thing and makes the coat happen. This bit doesn't look good. I need to fix that bit. It's not what's happening in here, and I don't know how to deal with it. Good. You're just going to end up with me just drawing a bunch of 18th century fashion and being like, this is world building, I swear. And it's like, yes, definitely. Definitely world building. Oh, because I guess the thing is that it doesn't have an actual belt per se, so I am overdoing it. But I guess it's sort of very clearly accentuating the waist join is something that I've been doing with the rest of it. Like, because that's like, you know, like you would very clearly notice that because it poofs out so much from there. And like, you know, the waist is obvious here because it just goes from a white shirt to a black skirt or dark colored skirt. Not really important. So I feel like making a point of the waistline being obvious is just something that they do. Hell, what? In the stream? Oh, right. In the actual... Well, okay. I did not have the streamer roll at the start of the stream. So I didn't put it in. But Secondhand has given it to me now, which is very nice. And then I wasn't sure if I should put the art streams in there, because most of the time it's for like summer camp and actual like world building article writing. So Monday streams is summer camp prep streams. So Monday streams will definitely end up in stream chat. But this one did not. Maybe next Thursdays, depending on what I end up actually doing, I'll shenanigan from there. You know, I'll figure something out. I'll figure out what works best. Because like if next week ends up being CSS, if I end up, you know, looking into that sort of cardboard cutout style, which rules, and I'm really glad you brought up that idea. If I end up doing CSS, then I might make it sort of like a little CSS tutorial stream, and then that will definitely go in. I will definitely put that in stream chat if I do a CSS stream, because then I can, you know, talk about sort of like the common selectors to use and how to use the inspector, and that would be useful to some people. So I'd bring it up there. I'm not sure what on earth role I would use to tag that, because I feel like the CSS helpers know what they're doing. So I guess I would just pop it in there and see if anyone noticed. See where that goes. Because it wouldn't necessarily be world builder. Could just be, I can't ping guild member. I'm not going to use my moderator privileges to ping world builder. That's a bit much. Or guild member. So I don't know. I'll figure it out depending on if that's what I decide to do next stream. So yeah, you know, that's sort of what is happening on that part of it. I'm gonna start squinting at my screen a lot. Where's my mouse gone? I don't know. There it goes. Okay. Ah, now I've seen the starburst. So they are just starbursts, but they're blackcurrant. That is weird. I've never seen any other flavor of starburst except for like the classic like yellow, orange, pink, and red. So that's weird. But that is also cool. I feel like I would love those. Even though I'm not a huge blackcurrant fan, I feel like I would be into that. So that is, it buttons up below the waist and then it sort of comes out. And it leaves a hole for your lovely pockets in the side. Nice. Okay, I can work with that. Or I can just not do that, just like the way. So it goes sort of like, Well, I guess if we're accentuating the waist, it probably would actually just stop at the waist. And then go sort of just like, so like that. Sort of. Yes. And then sort of, that's too far. And I'm coming in there, and coming in there. You probably would end up seeing a little bit of the sleeve peeking through. And you probably would end up seeing the collar, so it might actually come a little bit lower. Because otherwise it's kind of a shame. You know, you draw the whole collar and then it doesn't really come up as much. So you end up sort of like more like that, I guess. Sketch layers. Sketch lines. Difficult to understand. It's a whole mess. That's why I color code every layer by just making the color slightly different. So something like that. And then obviously this bar can be like, you know, fancied up. And you might end up with some fancy bits in here. This grade might be a little bit, like the curve inwards might be different. It might actually poof out more. Like the jacket just might be extremely poofy. Because like this is like the one bit, and then like from the side, it sort of goes like out and then in and then out and then in. Because then this is like sort of like where your pocket might go. If you had a pocket in your dress, which all these dresses have pockets. There's always a pocket present. I will not deprive my fictional like world like citizens of pockets. There will be pockets in every garment. There's just always pockets. So, you know, you need to be able to slip your hand past your things. Exactly. Woo for dress pockets. It does sort of look like there are pockets in this sort of thing already. Like where her hand is, like where the dress mannequin's hand is sitting, it looks like it's supposed to be where a pocket goes. Like that's basically prime pocket position. So it made sense to just go, ah yes, there's a pocket right here. Right in that spot. So that makes sense to me. This kind of works. I feel like this works. This works well enough. Oh no. Rearrange the bits. So you end up with these sort of two. One of them looks more worked on than the other, and that's because it is. So then, you know, and this could end up really fluffy as well. Secret pockets are almost secret drawers of furniture. Prime pocket real estate. This also has pockets. They're nice. They're just nice. There's always pockets. Every table has secret drawers, and every dress has pockets. The only reason it wouldn't have pockets is if it's supposed to be like skin tight, which we're not exactly making fantasy lycra here. So unless you're like a spy and you need to have the least amount of fabric hanging off of your person, you're gonna have pockets. And if you're a spy, you probably still have pockets because you need somewhere to store the goods. I need to be able to grab the gem and then put it neatly into my pocket, which has buttons on it, so that I don't lose, you know, the loot on my way back to the boss, sort of thing. So yeah, oh god, there's still lines on there. So the reference image for that was a lot more frilly. Had this sort of big frilly thing. I don't know if lace is as much of a thing, because I'm mostly thinking of very sort of heavy duty fabrics. I'm gonna just quickly Googling lace in the background as I talk. Yarn or thread. Linen. Okay, well you can make linen lace, so I suppose they absolutely can have very lacy, frilly things. But I don't know how much they would have, but I guess for a high society event, it makes sense to just put all of it in there. Just get real fancy. God, the fanciness. I mean, this part would be still fairly straight cut, but the rest is just like frills for days, lace and patterns. And it cuts in, get your waist, boof, poof time. And I mean, that makes sense. And then this absolutely is layered. So the skirt does have layers on it. Not to the same extent as this, where it has this really like discreet layering bunch up in the middle, because Cece was doing weird things with her dresses. I don't super love the really clear, like, when it's bunched up. I like it more when it's, like, obviously 2 different layers sort of hang loose and flow freely. And it possibly, the ones that flow freely might sort of resemble the way the jacket goes, where it cuts in and then it comes back up and then it cuts back in and goes back up. So you end up with this sort of zigzag around the sort of dress. Because then it's sort of like, you know, the motifs, they come back. The shapes reoccur regularly. Because that sort of makes sense to me. The bits will sort of come back. The same sort of silhouettes appear, the same design elements. Might end up being longer. And there might still be like, there'd probably be like a couple extra bits, like probably a couple layers down here where it's like, there's like an underlayer that's like very lacy, sheer, see-through. And then this one's a bit more sturdy, solid, and that sort of thing. But having the, you know, triangle, zigzag, doodad come back into play in the way that the skirts layer to sort of, because you know, it is like cold night, like fancy wear. So it makes sense to sort of bring in the jackets that you're not actually wearing because you're being fancy. You're too fancy for jackets. You know, I can't be seen as so poor and weak that I have to wear a jacket to a ball. You know, I'm made of sturdy stuff. I'm the aristocracy. So, you know, but you sort of hint at that jacket through the design so that, like, you know, people will look at it and they might recognize that jacket cut. And they'll be like, oh yeah, they're not wearing a jacket. I've been reminded. I see their strength of character. Or something. Fantasy politics. Wild. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. Secret dress armor. Ooh, yes. Absolutely. I'm gonna just quickly save this. Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. I don't know. Where's the... There's... 20... No, that's 2618. Uh-huh. Okay, jacket, lines, dresses, awesome. Yeah, awesome. Well, no, we can't wear jackets because we're being fancy and strong, but we're reminding them that jackets exist and that we're not wearing them. It all makes sense. It absolutely doesn't. It's fine. It's fantasy. I'm allowed to do whatever I want. Ooh, so some secret armor. I mean, you can get very sort of clandestine with sort of armoring stuff, like especially with the high society. You can basically just like fortify this stuff. So, you know, like especially in the cold, because it's cold areas, you'd end up with a lot of layers to that sort of. I used the word earlier and I've immediately forgotten bodice. So the bodice area would have many layers already. So you can very easily, like, you might like wear like a very sturdy corset, and then you might have like, well, it goes like shift corset and then like 3 dress layers. So like there's already a lot of fabric going on in there. But as far as like if they were actually dressing in the expectation that they might have to fight or defend themselves, then they would specifically be wearing dresses that have different colored skirts. Or like discreet skirts, which would actually make this sort of like above layer part important, because that would be used to disguise the fact that there is a seam separating the 2 bits. Because, like, you know, like there'd be the ladies who would be wearing like dresses that are all one bit but that have the sort of cut in, and then you're wearing a bodice with the above covering and then a skirt, and you want to sort of do the thing. Fur lining. Oh yeah, fur lining. Completely forgot about fur. I would definitely say yeah, they probably do have a fur lining for some of it. Like maybe like even like the shawl bit, this could end up just being fur. This sort of like sleeve thing might end up just being a fur bit. I've received a beep beep. What's the beep beep? Oh hey Ondo! Hello! You follow a ride before you let it. Your message in chat did. Hi, Ondo. You have come in and out. It's like more for shrugs and coats. Yeah, I feel like I know that you can definitely put like fur into dresses and stuff. But I feel like I associate it more with like with things that are like an other overlayer. So you can put it on this sort of shawl-esque bit up here, and you can put it in your jackets, and you probably could put it into specifically tailored dresses, but I'm not sure if in like the majority of people's dresses would have it, because you'd probably want to be using your dresses multiple times throughout the year. So I don't know. Dresses, because like the thing is, like, I'm drawing the dress and it's probably like it's like 50 layers in there, because many like old style dresses, there's a lot of layers going on. There's like a shift, there's the corset, then there's like a first layer, and then there's like a second layer, and then there's so many layers. Like there's a lot, so you can very easily wear the same outer part of the dress and the same bodice throughout the year, because the summertime it's still, you know, a little bit warmer. The nights are still a bit cold, but the general temperature is warmer. And then winter you'd be getting like big shawls. So this part would end up being way bigger in the winter, and mine just being like a big full sort of cloak thing, because cloaks are fancier than jackets. I think cloaks are cool, so I decided cloaks are fancier than jackets. Because you're being fancy. Cloaks are annoying because you have to keep sort of pushing them out of the way or like bringing them over. Jackets, they keep your hands free. So jackets are more for practical use. Cloaks and capes, they're a bit more fancy, ostentatious. You gotta have a hand free to keep whisking it aside all dramatically. Yeah, cloaks are cool. So they can have cloaks, and they can have fur-lined cloaks. I mean, anatomy of it. I mean, I've seen like a bunch of random like tailoring and like historical dress videos, so I feel like I have like the basic gist of how dresses work, but I don't really get it. I need old dresses. I need vintage clothes. Cloaks or capes? How much of a distinction is there between a cloak and a cape? Because they do sort of do. Okay, cloaks wear over the shoulder, but capes don't. Okay. Right, because like, yeah, because a cape, hold on, let's actually get the pen out, and let's get a color that shows up. So I think like with capes, they'll sometimes come right up to the shoulder, and they might like connect over. It's like a smiley face. Smiley face. And then it'll go all over the place. And then a cloak will sort of come more into the center and go around, right? That makes sense to me as something that exists, but I had never made the distinction before. I feel like it's something I'm gonna Google. I want to Google the difference between cloak versus a cape, because I always just assumed they were very, very sort of similar. No, I'm using them interchangeably. It could easily be both. Like, they could probably wear either or. But maybe, like, I don't know. A cape. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So the cloak comes over the front more and sort of covers the front half of the body more. And then, yeah. Well, yeah, there's that language distinction of it too, is that, like, some languages would just be the same word. Like, I think most people in English, they would use cloak and cape completely interchangeably. So, I did not know there was a distinction, but it does make sense, because, like, you would never really call, like, the royal, well, I don't know, would I call that a cloak or a cape? I don't know. Yeah. So, I'm happy to make the distinction, though. So I feel like, but I feel like they would probably do both. I feel like a cape might end up being more of a royalty thing, because there are many monarchies that can do the fancy stuff and have the fancy the very fancy capes. And then cloaks sort of maybe a little bit shorter, and they come into the middle and they do the whole thing. There's a lot of lines going on in there. That is a... Secret pockets are a necessity. That's what this is supposed to demonstrate. The way that this jacket goes allows for you to reach your pocket in the side. It just suckers a pocket right there, and you can always reach it. Covering it is weird, and probably a sign of, like, that you don't need pockets. If you're covering where the pocket goes, You are making a statement that you don't need pockets because you have 100 servants at your beck and call carrying everything for you. I feel like that makes sense. That is a distinction I'm happy to make. So maybe then, if that's sort of how it goes, you might end up with less of that sort of jacket pattern in the overskirt on the more like fancy evening wear, because they want to sort of like, you know, they cover their pockets as a very deliberate show that they don't need to carry things, so they can do it themselves. They probably still do have pockets, but if you cover the area where it usually is and you make it sort of a little harder to get to, then it's fine. 100 servants? Yes? Sure. Don't examine any number I say too closely. I don't know how math works anymore. I passed maths methods in year 12, and then every bit of number just went gone. Disappeared. Numbers aren't real. I've decided. 100 rogues, yeah. Who was my evening gloves? No. Is it you? No. How about you? Arrow pockets. Oops. It's the where are my glasses sketch, but repeated for about 100 people until you realize they're on your head. It's a good time. I imagine that's a common occurrence in like the big royal households where they're just like really ostentatious and like, I am the best. It's especially bad in one of the particular kingdoms because they have two like rulers, and then those rulers have their own like consorts. There's a lot of royalty going on. There's a lot of servants. No one talks about knockets. You just very subtly imply, I have no pockets. Think about it. What does that mean about me? It means I can afford to have someone be my pocket. It's great. So yeah, I've immediately forgotten what my next plan of drawing was gonna be. Because I feel like these sort of two designs, I'm torn on the over. I don't feel like the overskirt works as well as it could. Because I don't think that the sort of jacket cut looks as nice as it does in an actual jacket. Because it would have to, I don't know. Because like sort of like over here, the different color sort of overbit is the back. It's like a big train sort of thing. And I feel like that works a bit better. But you still want to keep your pockets clear. It is a dress made entirely out of the pocket portion of cargo shorts. So you have about, like, I don't know, at least 100 pockets. Everywhere. It is a dress made entirely out of pockets. It's like, I don't have frills, I just have a bunch of pocket flaps. With buttons, which are fancy. Fancy buttons with jewels on them, but it's just buttons. It's great. You can really embroider it. Yeah, I guess the idea was you keep the pocket sort of clear there, but it also comes from the middle and comes out. a cargo pocket dress. God, yeah. That rules. Something like this. That looks a bit better. I can sort of imagine that a bit more. And it means you can very easily sort of flick this aside to get to your pocket if you need to, but it's still covered, and that sort of comes back to the thing I vaguely said earlier about covering your pockets as a deliberate show of wealth and power, but you can still access your pocket, so it's fine. All you have to do is turn away every time you want to get something out of your pocket, and you just whisk it out of nowhere. Pretend you're a magician. Oh god. Everything's made out of sequins and pocket flap. Oh god. And that's like a sensory nightmare. A little bit. With a dress made out of sequins and you're trying to like find the pocket flap. God damn. And then you can't feel the pocket to see if there's anything in it because it's all just bumpy and weird. Oh god. There's a lot going on there. I guess if I'm happy with enough with those two bits, I'm gonna just quickly get rid of the jacket sketch because I know what. Actually, no, I'll keep that. I don't remember what I meant. If I save those, then what I'm gonna do, probably shouldn't have closed that first one, but I bring this up here. It's funny, it feels weird and you're lost. Exactly. Hold on, actually wait. I'm trying to figure out how to make things go. Change size. Let's make that 3000. I didn't make it bigger. Make this all the bigger. My screen's bigger and I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't figured out how screens function. Big screens are weird. Everything's small. I have to move further to do things. It's nuts. You like so there. I can always still see that. I can close that by now. No. I still have this little reminder in the bottom that I haven't paid attention to the entire time. Okay, let's do some jewelry stuff while we're here. And this might be the sort of more refined sketch bit that I get to post at the end, like, hey, guess what? I did something that I can show for myself and say, hey, things did happen here. I need to be able to see the face. Hold on. I need like 70 windows at any given moment in my side documents. Just windows for days. That's one size too big. There we go. Excellent. I've done it. Boom. Here we can see what my general expertise is, drawing busts and not, like, full bodies. That shit's difficult. It's not my expertise in the slightest. Everyone is going to want to stream by the end of summer camp. Mark my words. This is our goal. Everyone streams at least once. At least once. This is the boost. The bus time. Okay. We don't necessarily need a face, but I'm going to do a little face anyway. Because that's my shit. Because I do have I didn't pick that region just for no reason. I do have, like, character, story reasons that I want to be able to draw shit from this region and have it feel coherent. So I'm like, hey, I'll just real quick, draw a character. I mean, if we combined pretty much everyone, I'm pretty sure we could find a World Anvil community stream, like, for every hour of the day. We would be able to eventually cover a whole day with streams. Because, like, 2 hours after I stopped streaming would be when Hefe would start, but not today, because it's not streaming day for Hefe. And then, you know, people before me would be difficult. So I'd probably have to stream earlier, which is the issue, because I'm streaming at night for a reason. It makes my life way easier if I stream at 10 p.m. Yeah. I'll allow it. You can if streaming just isn't really a thing that you can do, being on someone else's stream is totally cool. I'm not gonna discriminate against people who just can't stream because of, like, their hardware or their internet. God, I forgot water existed for like an hour and a half there. Oops. Water's good. Drink water. Everyone hydrate. Everyone drink water. Well, neither do I, to be fair. But I stream at night because it makes my life easier. Because the way my house is laid out, after about 10 o'clock, I can start just saying whatever at any volume and my parents won't know because they won't come out to this half of the house because it's evening time and they'll start going to bed. And it makes my life way easier if I do that. Because the last thing we need is my mom accidentally walking in on a stream. So 10 o'clock streams, it's a good time of day. But I could probably stream earlier or a little bit longer. Because 2 hours is a good length, but I could probably do longer, depending on the topic. Like for the inspiration streams, I couldn't, like the prep streams probably couldn't do 3 hours. It's a bit light of content. Not sure, because I don't know what each of the homework challenges is. So who knows, maybe next week's is going to be a real juicy topic. But, you know, it can be done. I mean, I have siblings too, it's just none of them are here. My brother moved out, my sister's in Korea, so I'm in her bedroom at the moment. I'm using her bedroom as the stream zone. It's the place to be. It's just, you know, your sibling moves out and you take over their bedroom as your gamer pad. That's the real shit. I don't think I actually decided if she was an elf or not, but guess what? She's an elf now. Because elves exist. How do ears work? How do ears function? I don't understand how ears work. This is the part that I'm not good at. When it comes to drawing people, ears are difficult. I can clean this up some other time. This is fine. This will function for drawing things. So then, the idea was jewelry mostly. I'll quickly just sketch in the dead stream room. Everything you just recognize around either or. Yeah. It's the rumpus pad. Shenanigans ensue, and she can't get mad at me for it because I'll clean it up before she gets back. Before she at any point returns to this entire country, I will have cleaned up her room. So it will no longer look like a mess has hit the bed. There's a laptop, there's a keyboard, there's a charger, there's a mouse, there's books. There's another keyboard. Why are there two keyboards? There are so many keyboards. Welcome back. Welcome back. Did not miss much. It's the chatter zone. Oop, I'm on the wrong. There we go. I don't know how big that should be. Big's probably too big. Yeah. The internet part's the big bit, especially because, you know, our internet ain't great in this entire country. So it's like, hey, what if I just stream when everyone else is asleep? The thing is that everyone else in the country who's a streamer has had the exact same idea. And so we're all streaming at 10 o'clock in the evening. I don't have Ethernet. This is pure Wi-Fi, baby. I'm sure I have an Ethernet cord, but there's no way it's getting from the router to this room. That's just not happening. So this is a beautiful Wi-Fi stream. I don't think Ethernet would change it much though. It would only make a little bit of a difference. So there we go. So that's sort of like the vague gist of what the sort of top area is doing. It probably goes a little bit lower before it cuts off into poof. But like, you know, it basically functions in that sort of fashion. Poof. Poof. I'm not drawing a full body. I'm not doing it. We came here for a reason, and it's jewelry time. So, what's gonna be a question? Oh god. Mouse. Mouse. Okay, don't do the mouse. Okay, oh god. Every time I come back here, it gets worse. Okay, so we're still working here. So it comes to the question of what materials do they actually have available? In terms of like metals, gemstones. No, I'm not doing shoes. I can't draw feet. I can't do shoes. And while this particular character that I'm drawing is an elf, because I'm multitasking in terms of content, she's culturally from a human sort of region. The word is poof. When it comes to the fashion art streams, the word is poof. There's an entire world based inside the elven shoe. Oh god. It's a world of mysteries. What does the shoe look like? What's inside it? Who knows? I don't know. These are floor-length dresses. The shoe is irrelevant. And I can't draw feet. So that's not what we're going to be dealing with. We are not going to deal with how to draw shoes. It's like, gosh. So they definitely have like sword metals, because like, you know, with magic, it's decently easy to sort of the progression of how to get to particular metals. I feel like would be slightly shortened than it would be in the real world, because Like, you know, half of the thing stopping us from, like, you know, going from bronze to iron, then iron to steel and whatever, is that we couldn't get, like, the metal to the right temperature to melt and to get rid of the impurities to make actually good, like, tools and other such stuff from the ores that we were getting. But we've got magic. You can basically just keep pumping magic flame into it until it eventually goes. You can brute force it. They would obviously eventually make good kilns that can do it more effectively, but you can basically get, you know, get gold stuff that quickly. She's like, my father having pain when no one can see your feet. Shoes are never seen. The hem basically is magnetically attached to the floor, but in such a way that it's still allowed to move. So it's always just floor length, it never rises. You have to pick it up deliberately to make it go. And no one's doing that, so you just... No one sees shoes. No one sees them. They're probably like flats or low heels though, just because that seems practical. Because you need to be able to walk around. And you're in the mountains. I don't know how... You wouldn't want the heels to be too high in the mountains, I feel like, because that sounds like a recipe for disaster. So I feel like they'd be fairly flat as shoes, even in fancy contexts, because you still need to get from the ballroom to your carriage, and from your carriage back into your house. And you're in the mountains, shit's just not flat. It's just not flat out here. So your shoes would end up fairly flat, I think. Don't quote me on that. I don't go in the mountains. But yes, we would have like gold, silvers, gemstone-wise. I have no idea. In an instant, I've forgotten every gemstone I have ever seen. I know that for the other continent at one point, I did make a point of giving one of the characters an opal necklace. And they also have a, like, dragon gem thing. That's like a big old ruby. And that's definitely sort of their signature gemstones, I feel like, would be opals and these sort of big rubies. Just asked for your arches or your cobbler. Or both. Both at once. I've fallen off the mountain and the arch of my shoe has snapped off, and the heel of the shoe just snapped off. So now my cobbler's pissed and I have a broken leg. Everything's bad. No one's having fun. My feet hurt. I'm in the bottom of a hill. My cobbler's angry. No one needs all of that chaos at any given moment. So, if opals and rubies are very much a the other place situation, I feel like blues and greens would be a very popular color, and given to come back all the way back, zoom in to the politics, the politics, and how that influences clothing design in fantasy. One of the more important countries in sort of this region, the big long boy here, big long boy, blue, black, and white is the colors of their flag. And so I feel like having blue gems be like a big prestige thing makes sense to me. So like sapphires and such, especially if they're not particularly local to that area. If they're perhaps from the more southern, sort of warmer climates or something. I don't know where sapphires usually show up, but that, like, somewhere else. Blue, black, and white, yes. Solid sapphires and maybe some emeralds, just for, you know, lushness. Looks at the flag. Oh, yeah. Different shade of blue. Lightning Ridge Opal. Well, let me have a look-see-doozy. Let me have a look at what a Lightning Ridge Opal looks like. Lightning Ridge Black Opal, immediately, is what it shows up. Images. Oh, damn! Holy shit. Oh, those rule. Wow. They all look so different that I don't actually know which one is specifically the Lightning Ridge Opals. Because Google doesn't want to be super specific about what things mean. But they do seem to be a very sort of varied bunch, and they're extremely cool. So that actually works really well, like a very sort of like black, like a dark color with like blue and green streaks for an opal gemstone. That would be a very, like, it wouldn't be a common gemstone to see, but like if you have one of them, it would be the centerpiece for sure. Like you would have a necklace designed to emphasize that, and then you might have like, I don't know, smaller opals or sapphires, you know, all the way around. Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I can work with that, and that sort of works for sort of like the vague inspiration, is this sort of part is very, very vaguely Australian. So it sort of makes sense to me that maybe like the Black Ridge opal sort of like from here, or maybe even down here, I don't know, I have to do more looking into it. And that's an import thing, but that they're very, very cool. So that everyone wants them, and if you have one, hell yeah. That's the good stuff. Real world accuracy. Sure. Accuracy. Yes, accuracy. I definitely know how to be accurate to the real world. So yeah, like this would be a sort of very basic. That's not really how necklaces go, is it? They use it down a little bit more, or they'd be a different position. 3 to 4. Yeah. God. This program sucks. I need to buy Clip Studio Paint. Please. There we go. Okay. So like sort of something in that sort of vein. It wouldn't quite look that kind of shitty, but like, you know, you end up with a lot of small sapphires and then a big Black Ridge opal. Oh yeah, that's one of the ones you bought from the auction, isn't it? A little while ago. Black opals are cool. They are all very cool gemstones. There we go. Get it. You get something like that. That's quite big, but like, hey. Royalty, man. Well, she's not royalty, but high nobility. You get good shit. If you diplomat long enough, you get good shit from the Imperials. And then, so you probably wouldn't have, they'd probably only have like 1 or 2 pieces of jewelry that would actually have black opals, because it's expensive stuff. So it makes sense to me then that most of the time it would just be sapphires to focus on that sort of blue prestige. So, you know, you might have like, you know, a couple of lovely little doodads. And then I feel like whether it's silver or gold or a similar metal would depend on sort of what kind of opal you got. So like if your opal had more like warm streaks in it, then you would go for gold. God. But if it had more like a cool tone, you would go for silver. So, I mean, and then it would also depend, that would also influence the dress choice. Every part of the fashion is built around what kind of gemstone you've got your hands on. I guess. Sometimes. It depends. Most people don't, but some people do. That's the important part. So you can get sort of very sort of simple. It depends how overstated you want to be. And it depends, I guess, on how windy everything is. Because if it's very windy, I feel like you might want to limit how much shit moves. Because if it moves too much, it's probably just going to snap off in the breeze. Like if you have like the stud and then like a big bit drooping down and then the wind just blows, it just kind of snaps off. So that might vary it, but I guess it is inside, so it doesn't really matter. You can go fairly large with the sapphire that you got. So that's like sort of like your second bit. You try to get like a darker sapphire, or you'd want to go, yeah, probably like a dark or a rich sapphire color. These obviously aren't great colors because of just shenanigans. This is sketch colors. Difficult. I think that mostly works. But there is also the matter of head wear. I can't draw hats. Off the bat, I can't draw hats. Just not good at it. 3 dimensions are difficult. I don't get them. But I don't know. You wouldn't wear a hat indoors anyway. So you might have something more like a diadem or like a tiara, or like a. I'm thinking of like the Regency when they used to do more of like those sort of like the wreaths, but like made out of metal, obviously. because they were doing this whole, we like the Romans because the Romans were cool, so let's emulate Roman fashion. It's like, all right, I respect that. So they're doing a lot of that sort of element. I don't know if they would actually go for floral, like, styling. I don't know how much floral aesthetic would come into it. Somehow I don't actually have a picture of an Edwardian lady with one of those things. Oh well, what a shame. Yeah, so like a little like diadem tiara thingo-madoodad. And go on the head, and then the rest of the hair can just poof out. Sort of come out from there. So it sort of goes like, Yeah, they usually go sort of up. So you end up with like it's like a nice band, almost like a headband, but you know, it's made out of metal and it's, you know, fancy and probably got like some gems in it, and then your hair just sort of flows around it. That's just in a beret. Yeah. Well, for daytime, possibly. They could possibly go for berets during the daytime when you're like out and about. And there's nothing wrong with that idea. I have nothing against berets. Berets are cool. Berets are fine. They're perfectly serviceable hats. So I mean, they could do berets. I don't know. I'm not good at doing hat design because I wear a beanie most of the time. So I'm just like, what's a hat? How do hats work? How do they function? I'm unclear. So I was like, It could also be like the military thing, doing like the military beret. Which that's a whole other situation, is military wear. But that would end up being like more like trousers and stuff. Or like the mages can just run around being weirdos, because mages can do whatever they want half the time. So no berets for evening wear, because I feel like that doesn't really jive with the aesthetic that has been constructed, which is basically just like mid-1800s shenanigans. But like for daytime, maybe I might just bring it around him again. Got a beret. Boom. She's ready. That looks like an acorn or something. We're not gonna dwell on the naturalness of a beret. Yeah, oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I don't have curly hair, so that's not an issue for me, but I definitely after about this point, everything gets weird, because this is like where like the ponytail, like that's where the ponytail will get tied back. That's where it gets tucked behind my ear. It's where the beanie sits. So everything above like my ear is usually perfectly straight, and then everything below it just goes shenanigans. My hair's actually behaving today. That's because I washed it last night, so it's nice and like fresh. But after like 4 days, it's just like, what is happening anywhere? Oh no. Oh no. It's a bad time after that point. And then, oop, that's the wrong brush. I'm keeping it. Very, very much in the other styles. How hair interact with the thing, I don't know. I guess there's also another part of it, is that what style of hair goes with that. Like, I know what the character basically does, but that was like the old design of her. Is that she has a high ponytail and then like 2 sort of big strands come up. And that sort of works, but it also does, you know, obscure the jewelry. And if you're like, you know, you don't want to hide your jewelry, you're trying to make a statement here. We're trying to, you know, say something about our status and our wealth. So I guess it kind of does have to be basically everything ends up sort of behind this, behind sort of diadem doodad. Yeah, I mean, those are very warm though, so that's the thing, is that, you know, you get the best of all of it. You get like the warmest thing imaginable. So if everything goes like behind the hairband almost, even though it's like a fancy hairband, and then everything can basically go shenanigans from here and just go I mean, that's basically how that works, that everything goes wild from down here. but probably fairly straight. I feel like that sort of vibes. I mean, yeah, that could you can absolutely make that be like your thing. It's like, I don't want to show you my jewelry. Screw you. I'm making a very specific statement. And like, I mean, like, people can just do that. You don't have to show them anything. Just in the same way you don't have to show them your pockets. You don't have to show them any of that. But it is very common for like a lot of like high society, like fancy women. They will usually keep their hair back to keep their jewelry on display. I feel like that's very common in that sort of like ball gown, high up fancy culture. From what I've seen, the photos all seem to be hair goes back and then in the back is where the party happens. Like a mullet. Business in the front, party in the back. I'm not giving them mullets. Having said that, having spoken those words into existence, they definitely have. There is a noble man with a mullet, and that's his problem. That's his decision that he has made, and he's trying to make it a fashion statement, but God, we don't want it. It all comes back to pockets eventually. Eventually it comes back to the pockets. Yeah. Like, that's basically a thing that has happened in here, is that. Which it is, you only get to see if it gets rendered. Make mullets fashionable. Oh, God. I could do. I can do that. I have the authority to make mullets fashionable. But part of me is like, do I want to use my power in that way? Oh God. That is too much power for a mere mortal to wield. Even though, like, there have been many points in my life where I have definitely had a mullet. Because I grow up my hair poorly. So, mullets. 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 There might be a lot of people with mullets. I guess it's sort of like when sort of like the way that old sort of like powdered wigs, like with the dudes with the powdered rolled wigs would always sort of like have like a lot of stuff up here, and then it was a ponytail, not a mullet, but it did sort of resemble a mullet because they usually wouldn't have a lot of hair on the sides. It'd mostly be a bunch of curls, like white curls up the top, and then the ponytail on the back. And that's technically all that a mullet requires, is hair up top, no hair on the sides, and then hair in the back. So there is historical precedent for a mullet-esque style to be popular amongst the people. Which, goddamn, mullets, huh? I didn't think that was where the art was going. And yet, here we are. Yeah. There's that sort of thing. And I guess one thing to do. Oh God. Oh no. Color doesn't work like that. You may as well just gonna go like sort of lighten up a lot of it. Because you don't want it to be too dark, but basically you can make it all the same color. Actually, I'd probably make that a dark blue just to make coloring easier, because now the bit is that I guess for the end, because this isn't going to go on for a whole lot longer, because sleep is good. Sleep is important for people, even though I'm not going to go to sleep for like 2 more hours, but I figure I should probably actually turn off at some point. And I've decided that midnight is my cutoff point. Throw in some really quick sort of bits of color, so you get like a very dark blue, and then a much more vibrant, like, well, not like vibrant, but like saturated and lighter blue would be sort of what the other sapphires are. God damn it, my hair's a mess. Stop doing that. Yeah, sort of that. And then also there's like the... Oh God. Coloring is hard. So that, and then like, I don't know, orange. The mullet insurgency is never expected. You're correct. That only vaguely looks like a Blackridge opal, but that's fine. It's simplified art. That's just GM. Oh, I probably should have done this sapphire, because that one will be actually visible mostly, but just do them both. I guess because I put the orange streaks in it, then everything else is gold, but that's not really a problem per se. I wish I should put the skin tone in at some point, so let's just quickly do that. God. Sketching. Sketch colors, they're difficult. It's not a time. I'm an artist in name only, and everything else is just confidence. So like that. Ducks in there. Yeah. And then I guess boop, boop. Oh, she was gold-eyed in the other one, wasn't she? Ugh. Yes, sort of orangey gold will function. So like a brownie, like an amber. That sort of vibes. Fuck it, why not? I'm not controlled by anybody, I can do what I want. And she was blonde, so let's just quickly chuck in the blonde. Oh, I forgot the diadem. Oops. Whoopsie daisy. I'll quickly do that once the hair's done. Right. Gem. I think it needs to be silver then. If her hair's gold, it needs to be mostly silver jewellery. Just because then it actually contrasts. I do know art, only vaguely. That contrast is important, and therefore the art has to be silver. Here's it, yeah, like an arrow. There we go. Then the dress colour. Oh, I need to fix that line because it's going to bother me, isn't it? That's one. There's no belt, it just goes like that. Boom, there you go. Don't pay much attention to the bottom of the skirt, but that's how it be. Silver, okay. Alright, and it's just a matter of colours, which, given the ability for the centre to get trade from everywhere else via Long Boy with the river, I feel like they would have a fairly wide variety of dyes at their disposal. And you don't want to wear all blue. Like if blue is the prestige color, I feel like wearing all blue is maybe a little much. Though you do also have like other shades of blue. You can get a lot lighter, which is probably a good color in general, just to go for a nice like, oh, come on buddy, you can do it. Like light blues are good. But this part would not be light blue. I feel like the dress itself might be the part that's actually sort of in that blue, and then the accents on the dress would not be blue. If that makes any sense at all. I feel like too much blue might be a bit much. You don't want to be too gaudy with it. Like, yeah, blue is the prestige, but it'd be like the equivalent of like if the purple is the royal color in our world, it'd be the equivalent of basically painting yourself purple and arriving at like the royal palace dressed as a grape or something. It's like, okay, you've gone a bit far. You've taken this a bit too literally and you've gone, ah yes, purple is royalty, therefore if I wear more purple, I'm more royal, and now you're just a grape. So you can't become a grape. Or in this case, the blue equivalent of a grape. Blueberry? Don't become a blueberry in your efforts to appear rich and well connected. I mean, I guess there is sort of that idea of like blue dye is sort of complicated, especially like because usually like lapis lazuli is usually what's used to make blue dye in or lazuli or whatever in on Earth. So that's fairly difficult. Someone has definitely got Grape at Windsor. Grape at Windsor sounds like something wild. And I don't know if I want any part of it. Yes, you'd want to keep it fairly low key. It's like, you know, that's a bit muted for some reason. I don't know why it does that. Get a bit lighter in there. Or just use the filter tool. Just use the filter tool. I have the technology to filter colors and make them better. That's a little bit nicer. Because then you get the nice contrast, and you'd probably have that sort of silvery color show up in more places. Like it might show up either in like a band here or like... It does. Grape at Windsor does sound like a wine festival. I don't know how many wineries are in Windsor, is the thing. I can't imagine there are many. Just based on where I think it is in England. Not that I would know. I was like, how many wineries could you possibly have? There is no free space for grapes. Well, I guess if everyone's just getting drunk in someone's basement, there's plenty of space. Yeah, you sort of get like the overcovering ends up being a different sort of color. It might sort of rise up a little bit because it's definitely like a three-dimensional element. It does things. 3D happens. But I do not think in the third dimension, and therefore it is not my problem. And you end up with something sort of very simple like that. Let's flip sketch. And bring... Oh no. Ugh, I need to combine the layers. Oh no, oh god. Oops. Oopsie daisy. That was kind of cool, but that wasn't quite what I had in mind. Yeah, you sort of end up... This could be sort of... Why is it like that? Why gotta be like that? Sort of something similar to kind of like that. Blue would be a very common color. At least like among the royalty. You might end up with like nice greens. Green would definitely be a common color as well. Just blue is a very prestigious color, so people would want to include... Yeah, you're taking a little bit horror-y. Reminded me almost of like Shadow Link or something. It's a bit Shadow Link. Shadow Zelda, rather. Sort of Shadow Zelda vibes. And you can see that opacity is just... Shenanigans occur in the opacity of any part of it. But yeah, see, like, blues would be common. Greens. Well, blues aren't be common, but, like, they do appear a lot. Green. Red probably not as much, just because as far as I've done detailing in the world, red is not a common, like, flag, like, national color in that particular area. Blues and blue, black, and white is fairly common. There is yellow, so they could do, like, yellowy as well, but that's kind of their own thing. Why does the view always glitch? Why is it like that? Why is Sai a bad program? Any reasons. But yeah, so to end up with something like that, apparently. Apparently that's the end result is, you know, this. At the end of all of that. Whee! Yay! Hooray for art. Art has been made. Which is good, because I haven't done a lot of art otherwise. So it's nice to actually get to do some art for once. And Elven's known as Cinderella. Yeah, it does. It does have quite a few Cinderella vibes. I did watch a video about Cinderella's dresses recently, so that probably explains that. It's the blue. If it wasn't blue, it would probably look a little different, which I can test, because I did put most of that on the single layer. You know, you can basically pull the fairy, like, fairies from the thing and be like, hey, colors. Oh no, except that you can see the whites aren't the same. Oops, hold on. Let me put them in the same layer group and then I can make it do that better. Yeah, so you can get like all the different sort of colors involved. And they can obviously switch out the gems. Whee! Woo! Blue is a very common princess color, so I walked myself into that. Cinderelsa. I mean, Elsa is basically the snow-dusted Cinderella, if you want to think of it that way. Don't read into any of what I just said too closely. Don't think about it. It just is what it is. So yeah, you can get a lot of lovely different colours, but I'll keep it its original blue for the minute, because that functions. That's what we were designing. And apparently that's the end result of the 2-hour stream, is that, which, not bad. I'm happy with art. Now, if Sai will actually let me save my image, that would be good. Yes! Image saved. Sometimes it doesn't want to save. But now it's been saved as a nice PNG, and I'll get to post that on Twitter in like 5 minutes or something. But yeah. Oop, hey. Keep in the center of the page. There you go. There we go. Okay. But yeah, so I feel like that was basically the goal. Don't think about when in doubt, don't think about anything I say in any depth. It's just not a good idea. Because I'm not thinking about anything I'm saying in depth. Hence the use of the word poof like 20 different times, at least. And you probably missed a bunch of them too. So I use the word poof a lot. I'm not exactly thinking through things. Oh no, I didn't see that in the Court Justice chat before. Oh no. Oh, oof. Oof. That's rough. I don't like that one. I do not like that specific joke. I don't like that one. Oof. Instead of a poof, it's an oof. Big oof. Oh no. Oh god. I don't want that to haunt me. I don't want that to be my legacy. But yeah. Oop. That is basically the end of the stream, because it's 1 minute to midnight, which means it's almost Friday, and I stream on Thursdays, not Fridays. Therefore, it's illegal if I keep going too far past midnight. Those are the rules I've decided. Not that it matters, because I'm pretty sure at some point I will end up streaming before longer than that. So, you know, but it's the 2 hours. Yeah, I'm really glad that you guys all stopped by, because considering I didn't like advertise it in, you know, the Discord or anything. Like I had a couple people show up to the summer camp one on Monday, but that's because I posted it in the summer camp channel, so a bunch of people showed up directly from that. It was nice to have people show up and have a lovely chat and help me come up with ideas for drawing the thing, like the fact that now mullets are fashionable in this part of the world, which is terrifying. And now I have to go Google a bunch of paper cutouts to think about new CSS themes, which will be the third CSS theme of that world, which is rough. But hey, it's fine. Yeah, but it was good random luck. I did post about it like 3 times though, so at some point eventually it was going to happen. If you post it 3 times, eventually it'll pop. But yeah, so thank you all very much for showing up and watching me stream art. And I will see you all. My plan is to next stream on Monday, same time, which I can't do day math, but I have the schedules on the bottom, and we'll be doing the next summer camp prep challenge thing, and hopefully that'll be fun. And if we finish that quickly, then I don't know, world building will happen. I don't know. And so that's the plan. So thank you all very much for coming, and I will see you all around. Bye, everybody.